Hello everyone. Today we are going to see how to solve simple trigonometric equations. Some of you may be familiar with the cost diagram that usually we use to identify the number of solutions. So some of the students get confused with the diagram. Today I will see how we can find the solution of trigonometric equations involving sine and cosine without drawing a cost diagram. So let's begin. So I'll start by taking an example. Let's say we take question sine theta equals minus 0.766. Whenever we are solving any trigonometric equation, first of all, we need to know in what interval for the angle we need to solve the equation. So in this question, we are told that we have to find the solutions in the interval of 0 to 360 degrees for theta. It means theta lies between 0 and 360 degrees. 0 is not included, but 360 is included. So if we get an answer of 360, we should include it. But if we get an answer of 0, we should not include it. Greater than 0 to be included. All right, so before we come to the steps of solving equations, so we should know how it is related to the graph of sine function. So here is the graph of sine function, and we want to solve the equation y equals sine theta equals negative 0.766. So this is a graph of y equals sine theta. So basically y equals sine theta. It means in our equation, y has been replaced by negative 0.766. So what is the approximate position of negative 0.766 on our graph? So here we have negative 1, here we have positive 1, and we know that the graph of sine and cosine both are always between minus 1 and 1. So minus 0.6, we can say that it's approximately somewhere here. So we need to draw the line y equals minus 0.766. So the horizontal line we can draw, because we know that y equals any constant is a horizontal line. So this graph is ranging from minus 360 to plus 360 degrees. So the line that we have drawn meet our graph between negative 360 to 360 at 1, 2, 3, 4 points. But as we are solving our equation between 0 to 360, so we'll see between 0 to 360 how many points of intersection are there. So there are two answers here which are expected. So generally, whenever we're solving sine or cosine equation, we get two solutions in one period. You may be familiar with the period. Period means how long sine graph takes to complete one cycle. Because it's a cyclic graph, it repeats itself up to infinity. So if I start it from here, it takes one complete cycle up till here. This is one complete cycle. Then it will repeat itself in the similar way. So how many degrees it takes to complete one cycle, that is called the period. So period is 360. So in 360 degrees, usually we get two answers for any equation. So how we get those two answers? So that is the main thing in solving equation. So first step is to find the first answer. So first answer, usually I call it theta 1. So my theta 1 will be directly sine inverse of negative. Using our calculator, we'll find this. What is sine inverse of this? So it is sine inverse negative 0.766 is negative 49.996. So that is how I get first solution, and then second solution will be always 180 minus our first answer. So first answer is theta 1. So that means 180 minus negative 49.996. So be careful. There's a negative sign with the angle, and there's a negative sign here. So that will become plus. So we will get now 229.996. So whenever we are solving a sine equation, we will get two answers always. And that you have to by heart. That the first one will be always using calculator, sine inverse of the number on the other side. Note it down. And then second answer, use theta 2 will be 180 minus whatever your theta 1 is. So that gives you two answers, theta 1 and theta 2. Now we'll come to the interval of the angle. Interval is 0 to 360. We see that first answer that we obtained is not falling in that range. So that will not be the part of our solution. However, if we look at this graph, we know that negative 49 is somewhere here. That's why we got negative 49. But because the interval we are told, we will not take this. So what we will do, because it's a cyclic graph, so it means this particular position will be repeated after the period. The period is 360 degrees. So same position will come again here. So it means to reach to that point, sorry, not here, it will be here because it is rising from minimum point to going upwards. So this is the minimum point, it goes upwards from here. So the similar point will be at this position, which will be 360 degrees away. It means if we add 360 degrees into the first answer, so we can get that answer. So whatever our first answer is, we can always add the period. Period is 360 always. So we add 360. So we get 310.004. So this is not in the range, but from that we get another angle, which is this, and it is in the range. So if the range was wider, maybe it is 3600, for example, it means there will be number of solutions, not only two solutions. How we get those solutions? We'll keep on adding 360 into first answer until we reach to 3600. So and all those solutions which are falling in this range, we will write here. And then we repeat the same process with the second angle. So first angle itself is not in the range, so we will cross it. Then we add 360 into this and we find that it is in the range, so we write it. As I said, if the range is wider, so we can add again 360 into this answer, and we keep on writing those answers until we cross the limits of the interval. And the same process to be repeated for the second one. So now second answer is 229, and if we add 360 into it, definitely will go out of the given interval. So it means we don't need to add it. We don't need to add it in this question because our range is just 0 to 360 degrees. So finally, we have found the two answers which are in the given range. So we mentioned clearly the two answers. So theta equals 229.996 and 310.004. So sometime, and most of the time in the exam, it is clearly mentioned that give your answer to this many decimal places, or this many significant figures. So always go back and read the question, what is mentioned there, and follow that instruction and write your answer according to the given accuracy in the question. So this is how we solve the sine graph, sine equation. Same method is for cosine. Let's say we have the similar equation, cos theta equals negative 0.766. So first method is the same thing. First, we'll find theta 1 by taking cos inverse of negative 0.766. And that answer you have to write as it is. which is 139.996. Then we will get theta 2. Here is the difference. So theta 2 for cosine equations, we will take 360 minus theta 1. See the difference. In sine graph, theta 2 is obtained by taking 180 minus theta 1. In cosine graph, we find theta 2 by taking 360 minus theta 1. That is the only difference in the two equations involving sine or cos. So it means this will be 360 minus 139.996. That gives us 220.004. So again, we got two answers, theta 1, theta 2. We will again look at the interval given for x, for theta. The same in this question. So the first answer that we got is in the range, second answer we got in the range. And then, as I told earlier, we can add and subtract 360 degrees as and when required in each of the two answers that we obtain. And when it will be required, it all depends on the range. Let's say your range is minus 1000 to 1000. So I already got two answers. So I am falling somewhere in the middle. This is minus 1000. This is plus 1000. So my answers are, let's say this is 0. So 139 is somewhere here. 220 is somewhere here. So still I can go right to get more solutions. So to get right for each point, I will add 360 into each. Let's say 139 plus 360. It will jump to somewhere here. Then again, I will add 360 into this. It may jump here. Same process I will repeat for the second answer, 220. I will add 360 into this. It will jump somewhere here. And then again, so you will keep on adding 360 until you cross this limit. Similarly, on the left side, I have wide region, so I can find more solution toward the left, negative answers. So how we do that? That's why the minus sign is here. So the first answer, minus 360, means I will get somewhere, maybe here, or maybe on this side, depending on the value. Of course, when we subtract 360 from this, so it will be a negative number, so it will be somewhere here. Then again, I will repeat this process. I will keep subtracting until I cross negative 1000 on the left side. And the same process I'll repeat with the second answer, subtracting 360 so that I get all the possible answers in the range. And then once I have calculated all of them, I will list them in my final answer that theta is equals to, and I will list all those answers that fall in the given range. So in this case, our range is only this much. So I'll write my answers are 139.996 and 220.004. And again, whatever the degree of accuracy mentioned in the question, we will write our final answer according to that. Maybe 1 decimal place, 2 decimal places, 3 significant figures, whatever it is. So that is how we will complete and mention our final answer. So that is how we solve any equation involving sine and cosine. So quickly we can review it. The sine equation, first answer will be always using calculator. Second answer will be 180 minus your first answer. So two answers anyway we have to find out for sine as well as for cosine. So after getting two answers, you can add or subtract 360 degrees into each answer. If required, it depends on the given range. So writing all the possible answers, at the end you will mention your final answer as a single in a single line that these are my final answers, and make sure that you are highlighting them clearly for the examiner to understand that these are my final answers. So for the sine, it is 180 minus theta 1 for the second answer, and for the cosine, it is 360 minus theta 1 for the second answer. So that is the difference only between sine and cosine equation, and there's no need of drawing cos diagram if you remember this, that this is the procedure of solving the sine and cosine equation. So let's quickly talk about the tan function also. So if we have equation tan theta equals negative any number, I taken again the same number. So it is more easier because tan has a period of 180. I don't have the graph for that, so I can draw it quickly here. It is a different graph than sine and cosine. It has asymptotes. Asymptotes are the lines to which this graph is approaching to, but never meet. So the graph looks like this. So this is one cycle, this is 0, this is 90, this is 180, and right side we can go further, minus 90. No, this is not, yeah, this is not asymptote. Asymptote is on the right side at 270. Asymptote will be here. This is not the asymptote. So it will be like this. So between 90 to 270, we have an angle of 180 degrees. Or if I take this whole graph, it completes one cycle from minus 90 to plus 90, that is 180 degrees. It means the graph takes the whole shape in 180 degrees. So period of tan function is 180 degrees. So this we have to keep in mind while solving the equation. So if I take minus 0.76, so it will be somewhere here. If I take just one cycle like this first one, so I can draw a line. It only meets the graph at one point. So only one answer is expected in one cycle, one period. So that will be directly calculated from calculator. So we'll take tan inverse of negative 0.766. So it is negative 37.45, 45211. I'm just writing 45. So this is my answer for from calculator. As I didn't write theta 1, theta 2, I need only one answer. Then, depending on the interval of the question, if the question asks us to solve this equation between theta between again 0 to 360. So I have got one answer which is not in this stage, but I'll use it, and now I can add and subtract 180 degrees as many times as I need in this interval to get all the answers. So now I'm going to add 37.45 plus 180 because my answers are only on the positive side from 0 to 360 degrees. So I can add to get to the right side. So this is my number line I can show you. So 0 is suppose here and 180 is here. My answer is negative 37.5. So this is my required interval. So this is not falling in this interval. However, I can reach to the similar position by adding 180 into it. If I add 180 into this, what will we get? We get 142.55. So it means I'll jump to the point which is similar to this. Like if I jump, so I will get somewhere here. This is 180 degrees away. So now I'm falling in the interval 0 to 360 degrees. So this is my one answer. Then again, I can add 180 as many times as I said. We can add as many times as we need. So again, if I add 140 and 180 into it, so what do we get? We get 320. 322.55, which is again in the interval that we have here. So if I add again 180, of course, it will go out of the range because it's 180 plus 300 is something more than 400. So these are the total number of solutions possible in this interval. So therefore, theta is 142.55, 322.55, and that is the solution of this equation. Hope it's clear. So I'll come back with another video. Till then, bye.